This is an interactive training, so please feel free to ask any questions, and Kevin will answer those as best as he can. And then real quick before I turn it over to Kevin, we have a team of gurus or product experts when it comes to drawings and specifications, and Hayden Locke, Chris Lepke, Steve Harder, and then out in Colorado, Travis, Marissa, and Cody have all agreed to be on board to help with some questions after this is all over, with maybe some things that Miranda or I can't help you with since we don't do it every day. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kevin and let him get started.
All righty, thank you, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can you just confirm that you can see my screen all right?
Yep, we gotcha.
All righty, thank you. So we're going to go through our drawings and specifications on the web. After we go through it on the web, I'm going to pause. If you guys have any questions, please ask them. And then we're going to actually transition into the mobile application. I'm going to show you some functionality that's available for us within the mobile application. So first thing I want to do, this is our drawing landing page. So if I just navigate to my tools and go into my drawings, I'm going to come upon my drawing landing page. Now I want to go through some of the configurations that we're going to want to set up upon every new project creation. So the first one, if we go into our configuration settings, is our drawing log subscribers. Now, if you all are familiar, if you guys have gone through the drawing upload process, you know that there's going to be a banner at the end of the process that allows you to publish or publish and distribute. When you choose that publish and distribute option, it's actually going to be distributing to anybody who's in here as a drawing log subscriber. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in depth when we get to that point later in today's session. So the next thing I really want to hit on is the enabled drawings by area. So it looks like it might be off by default, it might be turned on for your project, but if you're kicking off a new project, that's going to be one of the settings that you go ahead and verify is turned on if you feel like you need it. Now, what drawing by area was originally intended for was to differentiate two different buildings. So if you have, for example, a higher education facility, two towers, building A and building B, and you want to differentiate the drawings from building A to B. So you didn't want the pages to be slip sheeted in together, and you didn't want the drawing with the same discipline, title, and number to be acting like a revision to the building B for building A. So we're going to be able to compartmentalize these different sets, keep building A separate from building B. But there's also additional functionality that I feel like is available for us there. When I was working in the industry, I used to go ahead and use areas for my shop drawings. So if I wanted to have my shop drawings available for the folks that are building out in the field, I would go ahead and I would set up a drawing area. And within that area, I would probably name it structural steel shop drawings or steel shop drawings. And then within that specific area, I can go ahead and create multiple sets for the different types of shop drawings that I have for my steel work, embed shop drawings, pan metal decking shop drawings. And that way I can organize those shop drawings and have them available for the folks that are building on the field, but then I'm not going to have them mixed in with my architectural drawings. So it's a really nice feature there. I've also seen individuals use this as a means to keep our as-built or our redline drawings. So obviously we're going to have a lot of markups on our architectural drawings, but if we wanted to have a clean set of as-builts, we can just go ahead and pull out, extract the drawings that we need for our as-built drawings, put them into an area, and then just advise our subcontractors or our collaborators that are going to be working on our project to go ahead and do their as-built on that set of drawing. That way, when we go ahead and close out and we're trying to achieve substantial completion, we can simply extract those drawings and turn them over to the owner without having to really fumble around and try to find and put together those as-builts. Now, on the right-hand side here, we've got a couple different tabs within my sidebar. The discipline abbreviation setup. So out of the box, Procore has a number of different discipline names and abbreviations. Every project is unique and different. So what I advise when you're going to go ahead and set up a new project is to just take the schedule, the schedule that's provided from you or to you from the architect or the design team, and just cross-check the schedule to what you have in here. So some of the abbreviations might be set up differently in the drawing schedule than what is actually given to you here in Procore. So we just want to make sure that those line up correctly. And if there's any unique or special disciplines that are included within your drawing set, but not included here within Procore, we'll just want to go ahead and make sure we add those prior to doing our drawing upload. What that's going to do is allow our OCR technology, our optical character recognition technology, to recognize what disciplines to pull in and use for that drawing upload. Now I'm going to go back to our drawing landing page. Now when we do a drawing upload, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to click the big orange button in the upper right hand side of my screen. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to select upload drawings. And we can go ahead and we can add from our computer. Now for the sake of today's training, I went ahead and I uploaded a drawing set, so we're just going to go ahead and navigate there. But if I were to upload a PDF, upload it and load it, it would just take a little bit to load. That optical character recognition, that OCR is going to scan, and then it's going to go in a queue, and when the green bars are already lit up, then that's ready to review. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to review my drawings. Now this page right here, this is a last page. This is just indicating that we are actually reading the right information that we need to be reading. And I picked this drawing in particular because I know it reads the information incorrectly initially. So it's actually pulling in the date and time for the drawing number. So from within this drop-down picker, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to select A113. And it actually pulled in the drawing title correctly, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to confirm and go to review. Now within this review, I can go ahead and I can verify, and what I advise doing is just kind of verifying to make sure that that information in these title blocks here are actually pulled in correctly. So I can go ahead and I can confirm it individually. And if there was one that was not pulled in information correctly, or if it was seeing information a little bit differently than from all the others, it'd actually be notified with a red dot in the left-hand side here. So I'll just scroll down, and if there's anything that was different, I'd want to make sure that I verify and check that one with the red dot. But still, do your due diligence to go ahead and make sure that these are all in here correctly. And once you verify that they are, at this time we can go ahead and we can select Confirm All. Now we talked about within the configuration settings, building out that subscriber list. And this is where that's going to come into effect. So we see this nice yellow banner across the top of our screen, 14 unpublished drawings. I can just go ahead and I can publish or publish and distribute all. Now, one of the things that I always advise our clients, and this isn't something that's in our support videos, is even if you're going to go ahead and publish and distribute all, and prior to the project beginning, you've built out your distribution list. Unfortunately, at this time, as a subcontractor or a collaborator working within Procore, if you built them out in the configuration settings, this setting right here on my landing page, the subscribe option, would be enabled. But as a user, when I come in here, if I didn't want to be a subscriber, I can go in here and I can unsubscribe myself, even if I was subscribed by the admin within the configuration settings. So where that can be kind of critical is when, or detrimental is if you did have a drawing set that needed to get to your primary stakeholders or to your key players on the project, and they unsubscribed themselves, and you felt that they got those drawings when you published and distributed when they really didn't. So what I always recommend doing is, even if you do have a built-out subscriber list, still go ahead and go into that drawing set that you just uploaded. In my case, this was addendum 1. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to check all of those drawings. And for me personally, when I was working, it just gave me a peace of mind knowing that they got those in an email and I could track that. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to select all of those drawings, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to email those drawings. If I had a distribution group set up at this time, I can go ahead and I can select that distribution group or select those individuals who I want to send that out to. And then now I can go ahead and I can send those out to those correct people. So I'll go ahead and send that email. Also, they're going to receive an email, and within that email, they're going to get a list, a digest list of all of those drawings that are included within that initial upload or within that revision upload. Now that's how that process works for our drawing upload. If I wanted to search by a specific discipline, in the upper left hand of my screen, I've got a drop-down picker where I can just go ahead and I can filter by a specific discipline. So if I wanted to look at all of my mechanical drawings, I can look there. And we've even got the ability to go ahead and do a keyword search. So if I was looking for a fan schedule, I didn't know exactly what page that fan schedule was on, I can just go ahead and I can go in here. I can do a keyword search. And now you can see here, if I scroll down, anywhere where there's the word schedule will actually be pulled out and pulled into. So if I click into this electrical page right here, it's going to highlight that fan schedule, or my exhaust fan schedule, and now I can navigate and I can find that information very quickly. This is also available on our mobile tablet, and I don't know if you guys can relate to this, probably, but when you're walking the job site and you're with the architect or you're trying to find a room, mechanical room 301, and you're just, looking through, panning through those drawings, trying to find that one specific drawing that you need, this is going to be very beneficial for you. Now, the next thing I want to show you is we'll go back to our current drawing set. And I want to go ahead and I want to pull in one of the drawings. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to select A121. Now within here, you can see as I zoom in, you can see that that OCR technology not only read the data, the discipline and the drawing title when I was doing my upload, but it's also going to recognize all of those elevation and detail views. So you can see here, all of my elevation views are actually highlighted. And if I click into them, I should be able to go ahead and I can pull in that next drawing. So I'll just go ahead and I'll select a drawing and it will pull me there. And I can see that it'll navigate me to that specific drawing. Now, when we're working within the drawings, we've got a couple of different markup types. We've got published and we've got personal. So our personal markups are going to be for those markups for me and only me when I go into my Procore account. I can make notes, I can make drawing document, or just highlights on those drawings, and I don't have to worry about project team members seeing those markups. Once I publish those markups, those members who have standard or higher, or read-only or higher, will then be able to see all of those markups that are published. So I'll show you an example of that. If I go ahead and I cloud this column line right here, you can see here I've got the ability to link it or publish it. Right now, if I just go ahead and I click out of this cloud icon, only I will see this markup when I go into this drawing page. But once I click into it and I select publish, now anybody who has the permission to do so will be able to see that markup. Another nice functionality that's available to us and what was recently released is the ability to go ahead and create RFIs from the drawings itself. So if I go ahead and I click this area, rather than selecting publish, I'm actually going to link it to another document. So if I select link rather than publish, I see all the other tools that exist within Procore, and I can link it to other modules, other documents that exist within those tools. So if I wanted to link it to a sketch that existed within our documents tool, I can go ahead and link it to, I can select documents, and I can find that folder where that sketch existed, and then I can go ahead and link that sketch, and maybe I'll go ahead and I'll put some text there, big and bold, sketch 001, so the guys that are building out in the field will be able to identify that. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to select RFI, and now we've got the ability to either link it to an existing RFI that was created within our RFIs tool, or I can go ahead and I can create a new RFI. So previously, that was only a functionality that was available on our mobile application. And I always advise, even if you're, if you've got your laptop open, just go ahead and initiate it from the tablet because you've got the ability to initiate it on the drawings itself. Now we've got the ability to do this on the web application. And so I feel like this is a best practice because you all have probably had the projects or the instances where you get an RFI responded back to, you distribute it to the appropriate parties, but it gets forgotten to be tagged back to the drawings. So the people that are building out in the field, they don't have that information on the drawings. So if you just initiate and create that RFI on the drawing itself, you don't have to worry about it being tagged. It's always going to be tracked there. And if somebody comes across that without the answer being answered, at least they'll still see that there's an outstanding RFI that's existing on the project. So once we do that, we can just go ahead and publish. If I wanted to link it to a new RFI, it would be in draft status. So in this case, I'll just go ahead and I'll do elevation height. The question is, please verify elevation in this area. I would have to designate who the RFI manager is, that person that's responsible for overseeing the RFI process on our team. And now I can go ahead and I can create it as a draft status. I would still need to go into the RFI's tool and make it as an open and then go ahead and send it. But at least that's initiated right there from the drawings. Now the next feature I want to talk about is our distance tool. So we can go ahead and we can take rough estimates of drawings or dimensions on the drawings that are unknown. So we will take one known dimension, whether that be a door opening or building corner, the building corner. I'm going to select that distance tool. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to select calibrate. Now I typically like taking the longest known dimension. So if you guys are familiar with OCR, or not OCR, I'm sorry, on-screen takeoff, if you guys have done any estimating or takeoffs, you know they take the longest known dimension on the drawing. So I'll just go ahead and I'll take this building corner to building corner. I designate it to be, 190 feet, 0 inches. And now I can go in, and if I go back into that distance tool, I can select a ruler, and I can just go from wall to wall, and I can get that. Now this is a rough estimate. This is by no means supposed to be a replacement to your takeoff solution that you're using right now. Or if you're trying to get survey points or anything like that, if you're looking for precise measurements, I would still want to use something else. But if you're just looking for rough estimates right there in the field in real time, this is a good feature for that. Now the last markup that I really want to talk about is our photos pin. Photo pin's a nice one to capture progress over time in a specific location. So I'll just go ahead and I'll select the camera icon within our markup toolbar. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop that camera pin right there in the corner. So if I was wanting to capture progress over time, maybe this is a curtain wall that was being installed and I wanted to capture this elevation, every single month, I'll just go ahead and I'll drop that pin in the corner of that building. I'd select for my computer. And now this also is available within our mobile application. So on my mobile app, it would probably be better and more fitting because I would be out there with my tablet and I'd be taking this photo. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to upload that photo. Now when I click into that photo, you'll see the date that it was uploaded. And if I went ahead and I clicked into that photo, I'll be able to see that photo in more detail. Now maybe the next month I wanted to go ahead and I wanted to take more photos to see where we're at that given time. Rather than clicking into the photo icon and dropping another pin on the drawings, I would just go ahead and I'll click into the same pin and I would select the camera icon. Now I would just upload my new photo. So within that same pin, I've got all of my photos over time. And these photos, if we set it up within our camera or within our photos settings, we can have all of our photos pushed into the photos tool called Photos from Drawings. So if I was trying to reference a specific photo, I wouldn't have to play this game of where's Waldo, where's that photo, try to find that drawing, try to find that pin, try to find the specific photo that I was looking for. I could just navigate to the Photos tool, pull up that album, and I can search that album for that specific photo that I need. So those are some of the markups that we have available for us or to us. Now on the right-hand side here, upper right-hand side of my screen, we do have the markup capability, but we also have the filtering option. So we talked about our published, the difference between our published and personal markups. And if I wanted to go ahead and toggle on or toggle off certain markups, I can just go ahead and I can click them or click them off. And so that'll allow me to turn on or turn off specific markups that I want to see. We also have our different markup types, so all of our different tools, so RFIs, punch items, photos. And as you can imagine, if you progress through the course of construction and as you get into your final architectural punch out, as you're trying to achieve substantial completion, this drawing is just going to be littered with a bunch of punch pins. So what we can do if we wanted to go out into the field to reference something, but we didn't want to have the pins in the way, is that we can just go ahead and toggle off that specific pin, and now we don't have all those pins in the way of the view that we want to see or the details that we want to see. Now I'm going to close out of this for a second. And I wanted to talk about our overlay capabilities. So on the web, we do have the ability to do an overlay. Now this feature is lacking a little bit from what we have on the mobile application. On the web app, we can go ahead and we can do an overlay of the same specific drawing. So if I was going to upload A101 and I wanted to see the changes that were made from A101 Rev 0 to A101 Rev 1, I can go into this info tab for that specific drawing and I can do an overlay. Now, where this is limited is if you go into our mobile application and do the same thing, we would be able to do an overlay of 2 different disciplines. So if I wanted to do an overlay of my electrical plan versus my mechanical plan, and I wanted to see if there was any clashes with my conduit and my HVAC, I can just go ahead and I can do an overlay of those different disciplines where we don't have that ability on the web app right now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how we would do that. So I'm going to go into A101 or A111 because I can see here that I've got a revision for A111. I'm going to select the Info tab. Now, if I scroll down here, I've got my versions. And all the way to the right of the versions, I've got these 3 isosceles, these 3 little dots. If I select the oldest version, I can go ahead and compare the new version to the old version. So I'm going to select Compare to this version. It's going to pull up another tab. If I just let it wait, you can see here, anything that was added to the new version is going to be clouded in blue, and anything that was removed from this version will be clouded in red. So I can see here that I've got an area from the new upload that it was clouded in blue. So one other thing that you would need to be reminded of or just remember when you're doing your upload is that we're uploading these PDFs. And when we upload these PDFs, they need to be vector PDFs, which means they're kind of smart PDFs, and that's going to allow our OCR technology to read it. Now, if those PDFs, if the scale is off by any bit, or if the design team shifted it a little bit, it's not like Bluebeam where we can go ahead and modify it or change the scale within the system itself. So it's going to show that there's a lot of different changes on this drawing when there's really not. So that's just something to keep in mind, and maybe something that we would want to communicate to the design team during the project kickoff. So that is the drawings, what I have there. I can talk a little bit about the sketches. There's a couple different ways that we can manage sketches within our drawings tools. And if you'd like, we can open it up at the end or before we transition into the mobile application, and we can have a conversation around sketches because I'm sure there are teams that are doing it differently. What I like doing and what I recommend doing is going ahead and creating a folder within our documents tool. Maybe name that parent folder design documents, and within there we're going to have a folder called sketches. And typically those sketches originate from an RFI, and that RFI, the sketch that originates from the RFI that's provided from the design team for that RFI, most likely is going to get included into the next ASI that's issued out on the project. So that sketch is just really a temporary drawing that should be included, or in theory should be included in the next ASI. So what I like doing is I like creating that folder within the documents tool, and then I'll go into my drawing, and like we did earlier, I'll just go ahead and I'll link it to that specific sketch, and then I'll have a big bold text, and that way it's right there in your face on the drawing, so the gentlemen or the women that are building it on the field, they're not going to miss it. We do have the ability here, if you click into a specific drawing, so if I select it, info on this drawing, we've got a couple different tabs here. And one of the tabs is sketches, and we can add that sketch here if we would like. The only difference or the only issue that I see with that is that it's kind of a older functionality and it's a little bit hidden. So if I went back to the drawings and I went to this drawing landing page, if that sketch existed, or even if I was looking at that sketch, if I open this page, it's really hard for me to see that that sketch exists. And especially on the mobile application when I'm going through my drawings, I'm really not looking behind the scenes, and that is being stored behind the scenes. So as an installer, I'm not gonna, I could potentially miss that sketch. So that's my only concern there. So there are a couple different ways that we can upload it. Just kind of choose, and maybe there are some folks on the line here that are doing it even differently. So I just wanted to show you that before we move on. So the next thing on the web application, but before we move into the mobile application, is I want to get into our upload of our specifications. So we're just going to go into our project tools. We're going to navigate to our specifications. And now we've got our specifications that are available to us. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload a new specification book. So from the right-hand side of my screen, I'm going to upload my specifications. I can choose it if they've existed already within my documents tool. I can pull it in from my documents tool, or I can upload it from my server. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to select the file that I want. I already did that for the sake of today's training, and I've got that over here in my queue. Now, we do have a couple requirements when we're uploading our specifications. I wanted to point that out to you. So the formatting is important. So we do have to have a table of contents within the first 20 pages. The file type does have to be a vector PDF. And then we do have some recommendations for the font size and other information. So I do have this support article, and this is kind of some criteria and outlines for what we recommend. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to post it into the chat box. So let me get into, well, once we get out of our specifications, when I transition into the mobile, I'll make sure to put that support article into the chat icon, and then you guys can go ahead and save that. And I do recommend, if you're going into a pre-construction meeting, you're talking with the design team, if there's any way that you can have some persuasion on the type of formatting, go ahead and show them that article and just say, hey, for this project, it would really help us out if we can keep this type of formatting going forward. Keep it consistent. So within our specifications, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to do my upload. And in this case, I've done that. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to click review and publish. So if you got your table of contents, you've got everything formatted correctly, it should put the page breaks where it needs to be, at the end of one specification section and at the beginning of the next. So I'm just kind of scroll through here. And what I like to do is I like to just kind of click on each specification section on the right-hand side here. And I'm just going to scroll up a little bit, and I'm going to make sure that it's the end of one and the beginning of the other. Make sure that it's bringing in the correct title and the specification number correctly. This one is bringing it in correctly, but some of them may not. It's pretty good, but still do your due diligence. And if it needed to be removed and added to a new location, I can just go ahead and I can select that remove break on the right-hand side of my screen. And then if I go down to another break, I can select add break here. It'll add that break. I can add the number, add the description, and if there was any revisions, I can go ahead and add that and select a new one. Now, once I've gone through and I've done my upload, one sec. I'm just going to go ahead on the very bottom and select publish all. Just going to go ahead and select OK. While that's doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure I copy this. And Kate, if you're on the line, I'm having a hard time bringing in the chat section. So I wanted to add that to the chat section. If I can't, could you help me out and do that for me, please? Okay. So now that we've got our specifications uploaded, the true value to this, there's a couple. One, just having the specifications available to our field teams on the tablet. So I can't tell you how many times our superintendents that I was working with were wanting to go back and get the spec book and reference the spec book. But just having that available to them at their fingertips is going to be really valuable. The next is having the global text search functionality available to us. And that's going to allow us to do a keyword search within a specific specification. So if I went ahead and I selected the concrete spec section, 03300, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to select open. And on the right-hand side here, I can do my keyword search. So maybe I was looking for all my test requirements on this specific project. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do test or material. And you can see here, usually it's actually been acting up today. I had another one of these virtual trainings and it was acting up earlier. It should on the right-hand panel here pull in anytime that it captured that word or anywhere where that word exists within the spec section. It'll have a location or a page number where that word exists, and you can just quickly navigate on the right-hand side here. But on the left-hand side within the specification itself, you will see that anywhere where that word exists, it will pull it in, it will highlight it. So if I'm just scrolling through and I'm doing my submittals and I just wanted to see material requirements, I can do the keyword search material. So that's going to really help you when you're going through and doing that type of work. Similar to our drawings, we do have the ability to go ahead and subscribe if we wanted to. And by subscribing anytime a new spec section is uploaded, those subscribers will get an email alert of that. So I'm going to pause right there and open it up for any discussion. I know that that was a lot of information. To some people, it might just be a review. To others, it might be brand new. So if there's any questions, if you guys have had any bottlenecks or any pain points on your project, currently, I'd like to hear them, and maybe we can talk about them and work them out. Okay, well, don't be shy. If you have any questions, we do have the chat icon, but otherwise, feel free to unmute yourself and chime in at any time. With that, I'm actually going to transition out of the web application and into the mobile app. So just give me a second, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start my video on my tablet. Okay, so I'm just going to go into our Procore application. And getting into the tools, we can access our drawings a number of different ways. We can access it from the tools page, so right here within the tools, or within the drawing icon on the very bottom. So if I just go ahead and click into drawings, it's going to pull up all of my project drawings. Now on the right-hand side here, you're going to notice something. You're going to notice the sync option. So we do have the ability to work off of line. So if our project does not have Wi-Fi and we need to go ahead and make those drawing markups, or we need to create RFIs as we're walking the job site, we're going to be able to do so. And as soon as we come back to the project, we're going to be able to sync, and all of that information that we captured off of line will then be pushed online into the cloud and made visible with anybody who's got the permission to see that. But as a best practice, prior to leaving the job site, just go ahead and make sure to see when the last time that those drawings were synced. I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to select sync. It's going to look for those updates. Make sure that you have any information, any data added to those drawings prior to walking out to the job site, so you do have the latest and greatest. Now I'm just going to kind of scroll through these drawings, and I'm going to select one of those drawings. Now, similar to probably other systems that you've used, we can swipe right, swipe left to see the different drawings. And if we wanted to see revisions of a past drawing, we can just go ahead and select up and down. You'll see that nice red banner across the top of our screen that tells us that we're not working off that current drawing. Now, if we did do a drawing upload and maybe we wanted to slip sheet the new drawing in, all of those markups that we created on the previous revision will pull through to the latest revision. Now, similar to our markups that we have available to us on the web application, on the right-hand side here, you'll notice that we have some markups. If I just go ahead and select the cloud icon, you'll see the markups that I have created. Another feature that we have is the ability to go ahead and create markups in different colors. And this seems maybe like a small feature, but this has been beneficial to a lot of our clients. And what I'll typically tell our clients to do is to give each contractor or each trade on your job site or each member on your team a different color. And then that way, as you're going through the drawings and you're doing your markups, you'll be able to quickly look at those drawings and you'll be able to differentiate who created what markups. So I know that my mechanical guy, all of his markups are in green, and my plumbing is in blue. That way I can really differentiate those different markup types. So that's pretty valuable there. But similar to all the things that we talked about, the ruler, we do have that same option. I can just click into that tab, and I've got the calibrate option. I can go ahead and do a freehand linear footage or just a simple ruler. And then the pin, I can go ahead and I can select the pin icon. It's going to pull out the different pin types that we have. So we got the photos pin here, our punch pins, and observation pins. Now in the right-hand side of my screen, I do have a couple icons. The first icon I want to talk about is the two squares, the overlapping squares. So if I just go ahead and I select those two squares, this is where I was telling you our mobile application really strives and it has added functionality that we don't have on our web application quite yet. And so this is the overlay of different disciplines. So if I just go ahead and I select that circle with the triangle that's pointing down, I'm going to be able to compare it to a different drawing. So if I wanted to compare A111 to maybe my plumbing, I'm just going to scroll through and I'm going to find the right drawing that I want to compare it to. So maybe my fire protection. And now you can see here that my drawing corners aren't lined up correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select that circle with the triangle pointing down again. And when I do so, it allows me to realign. So I'm going to select that realign option. When I select that realign option, I can just go ahead and I can take my finger and I can simply just go ahead and drag my building corners so they align correctly. Or on the right-hand side, the bottom right, I do have that little joystick so I can tap right or left to get that really dialed in there precisely. Once I've got that dialed in precisely, I can go ahead and I'll select done in the upper right-hand corner of my screen. Now I can zoom in to see all of those different changes or any clashes or anything that I want to call out. What's nice about this is I can zoom in to a specific location, and if there was a clash that needed to be emailed to a specific contractor, in the right-hand side of my screen, upper right-hand side, I've got that little square icon with the arrow pointing up. I just go ahead and I can select that. Now I've got a number of options. I can save the snapshot, and when I go ahead and save the snapshot, it's going to be saved to what I've zoomed in. So I'll just pinch and pull to what I want to capture. In this specific area, I want to capture this. I can just save that image. I can email it. I can text it. So a number of nice features there. Now, if I wanted to toggle between the two, I can just go ahead in the bottom left. I can toggle, and I can see my architectural. Now I see my fire protection. And if I select reset, I can now see them both together. So I'm going to select exit comparison. The paperclip icon is really nice, especially as you progress the course of construction. You're going to get a number of different pin types, a number of different markup types. So what this is really nice for, rather than clicking on each pin and trying to see which RFI is what, I can just go ahead and I can click that paper clip, and now I've got a list view of all of the different markup types that are on that specific drawing itself. Now to the right of the paper clip, we have 3 horizontal lines with circles through them. Those are our filter types. So this is where we're going to be able to turn on and turn off our published and personal layers. And we actually have added functionality that's available to us within this markup. So for punch pins, I've got filters where I can get a little bit more granular. So as a external collaborator, subcontractor that's working within your system, if they wanted to go walk the job site and take care of all of those RFIs or punch list items that they are responsible for, they can just go into ball and court and select themselves. But what another feature, a nice feature is they can just go into responsible contractor or assignee, and then they can go ahead and filter. So they're only seeing those punch items that they're responsible for. And they'll go ahead and select apply. I'm going to get out of that, and I'm going to go into the next tool, which is our specifications. So I'm going to click into my specifications on this tile here. You can see that I've got a number of different specifications that are available to me. I'm just going to click into the one that I want. I'm going to let that download for a second. And now, similar to the feature that we had on the web application, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to select that magnifying glass in the upper right-hand corner of my screen. And then I'll just go ahead and I'll select test. When I select that, you can see here, now I can scroll through all the different pages where that word exists. I can click into it, and it's going to bring me right to that specific page. Now also what we're going to want to do, because our specifications, and I should have hit on this when we're in the web app, but because our specifications are going to be pulled into other modules or other tools, such as our submittals tool, we're going to want to go ahead and make sure those specifications are uploaded on the front end of the project if we have them. Also, that's going to be the initiation or the start of where we can go ahead and create our submittal register. So if you all are familiar, we do have a submittal builder tool, which will allow us to build out our submittal register from our specifications if they're uploaded. So that's a whole nother training, and that's more or less the submittals in today's training. We want to hit on our specification and drawings, but just know that we will want to make sure that our specifications are uploaded and in Procore on the front end of the project so that we can take advantage of that functionality. Now, the last thing I want to show you on the mobile application is our settings. Now, within our settings, we're going to be able to manage our storage. So when we synced that drawing or that specific project or those drawing areas that we want to work out of, it's going to put that memory onto our device. And depending on the size of your project, you could have a number of large projects on that device. And if you left one project and started another project, we're going to want to kind of do some management of that data that's stored to our device. So we're just going to go into our storage within our settings. We're going to select Manage Storage. And now we can see that we've got a number of different projects that are stored to this specific device. I'm going to select Edit in the upper right-hand side of my screen. And I've got the number of bubbles that I can just go ahead and I can click into. And then you can see that I've got the delete cache data on the bottom that it is enabled once I click into one of those bubbles. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to erase those projects, and I'm going to erase them from my device. Now you can see here underneath the project name, you can see how much memory it's taken up on your device. So it doesn't take up too much, but still enough that you'll want to do some management every once in a while. A couple other notifications while we're in here, while we're in the mobile device. A couple other notifications or settings that I always hit on. The notifications, so if we go into our push notifications here, we can control the different types of notifications. And these are different from what you're probably used to on the web application. These aren't going to send you an email. These are just a little ping on your device. So kind of a alternate route to be informed on different things that are happening on your project without getting the inbox a little bit littered and cluttered up. So right here, drawing published, I'll just want to go ahead and I'll make sure that that is turned on. Photos uploaded, anytime there's new photos that are uploaded on my project, I can have that enabled. And you can see here the different notification types that are there. And then if we go down, we have our support resources that are available to us, similar to the resources that are available on the web application. We can access those in our mobile application. So it looks like we do have some questions. That's the mobile application, and I think we do have a little bit of time left. So I'm going to answer those questions, and then I did want to show you something that's fairly new. It's called our embedded experience. And if you haven't taken advantage of it, I want to show you so you can. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any questions. It was actually just a side conversation that I was having. So we can go ahead and I'll unshare this device, and then we can go ahead and I want to show you the embedded experience because I feel like that would be valuable for everybody who's attending this session today. All right, so I got out of the application on the mobile. I'm now showing my web application. Is everybody able to see this all right? All right, well, I will continue on. So within the mobile application, or I'm sorry, the web application, within your project, if you go into the apps, we have this drop down right here. And so what we released is this new functionality that's called our embedded experience. So we've got over 200 app marketplace partners of ours who build out these integrations. And some of them are going to be available for us within this embedded experience. So we never have to leave the Procore platform. One of the free ones that are available to us is Google Sheets. So within Google Sheets, I can go into my apps. I've already downloaded this onto my test account here. And if you haven't done so, you can download it at your company level. And then for every new project, if you do have a Google Sheet that you want to use, maybe you're going to make it private or you can make it public. We can go ahead and take that URL and we can tag it to that project, and it's going to show up within here. So what I like to do within Procore, a good use case for this is my material delivery. So we do have the ability to track due dates and stuff within our submittals tool, but there's really no good spreadsheet. We're thinking about building a tool for that. But in the meantime, we can go ahead and create a Google Sheet spreadsheet. You're probably using one already, and I can just go ahead and I can click into that. And now within Procore itself, it should launch that spreadsheet. I've got another one in here, so I'll show you what that looks like. So here is a training packet that I put together with an agenda, and you can see here that that Google spreadsheet is launched directly from within Procore. So I've seen a number of different use cases for this. Again, that Google integration is completely free. So if you feel like this would be beneficial, please take advantage of it. But the reason why I wanted to go ahead and pull this up is because I do have a QR code here. And if you don't mind, actually, this was an old one, but my name is Kevin Kellish. If you do have an iPhone available, go ahead and pull your phone up, and on your native camera, you should be able to just scan this QR code. If you're not familiar with QR codes, this will be your first time. I'm going to pull this up here. So just go ahead and pull up your iPhone, pull up your camera, and you should be able to put your camera right on that QR code, focus it in, and it will just pull up a drop down. If you click on that drop down, it's going to bring you to a website with a simple drop down picker. It's going to ask you, who is your instructor today? Again, my name is Kevin Kellish, and it'll bring you to, I think it's just 2 or 3 questions, 1 out of the 10. How do you feel like how this training went today? Did you get something out of it? It'll be really beneficial for our team to be able to use that information to improve on these trainings. So with that, I'm going to open it up to any questions, and I appreciate your time, everybody.
This is plus 100.
Hey, Kevin.
Doing great. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Hopefully we have a garage. Hopefully we have Hey, Kevin. This is Steve.
Yes, sir.
Hey, one question I have is on Procore during the drawing review, is there a way to take, like on the previous program or app we were using, there was a way to take like a snapshot from the, I guess the desktop view, not from the mobile app.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to do that without having to download that individual sheet to mark it up and send it to somebody for a quick little email or something like that?
Not on the desktop version. Unfortunately, the best way to do that is to just go ahead and do it on the mobile application.
Got it.
That kind of brings me to a good point. I was working with a client last week, and maybe this is beneficial for some folks on the line. Maybe it's not, but at least I wanted to show you what's available. And kind of this is a workaround to constructability reviews. So if you are doing a constructability review, because our markups either publish or public or private, and because we don't have groups like drawing markup groups that are only public to a certain group of people, what I recommend doing is making those individuals that are going to be included on that constructability review, have them as admin level users. And what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and upload those drawings. And when they go into that review state, so we went into that review, and before we go ahead and in that yellow banner where we can go ahead and publish and distribute, prior to doing that step, they're going to be uploaded to Procore, but they're not published for our external collaborators. And within that state, we can go ahead and do our constructability review. So as long as you're an admin level user, you can do your markups and you publish them. And then other folks who are admin level users, so maybe internal team members, they can go in there and they can do markups as well. And so that's just something I wanted to share for anybody who's on the line, maybe working in pre-construction or might be doing some constructability reviews. Okay, well, that's all I have today. If you don't have any questions, again, I appreciate your time. Thank you. Feel free to reach out, use our support if you do come across any questions. But with that, I'll just go ahead and I'll give you a couple more minutes back in your day. Thanks, everyone.